Okay, so I did just want to throw a little disclaimer in before I jump into this video. I am definitely not a therapist, psychiatrist, anything like that. I'm just super passionate about mental health and I just want to help my community, and that's it, okay?
Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up.
Hey you guys, so it's me, Michaela Marie, back on the internet like I never left. I have been gone for like 5 months. And while I was gone, I've been learning so much. And so I have been super excited to get back to my little small corner in the internet so that we can talk about mental health and parenting, my spiritual journey. We gonna talk about all of it at some point. Today, definitely want to get into children's mental health, as you can see by the title. That's something I've always been super passionate about ever since I was like pregnant. So I have a lot of information to share with you. I'm going to try not to make this video super long. So I'm just going to give you 7 points to help create a safe place for your child's mental health to flourish, basically. Before I do that, I just wanted to shout out my friend Vanessa Monae with this It Girl energy. Is definitely giving me the vibes for this video. So I'm super excited to be rocking this, and I'm so proud of my friend. I'm gonna leave her info in the description. Make sure you check her out and grab you a shirt if you an It Girl or whatever. So yeah, that is pretty much all I wanted to say. I'm not gonna talk y'all head off for too long. Let's just get into it. I wasn't always an intentional parent, a gentle parent, whatever you want to call it. I definitely was yelling and popping my son and whatever else. And I just want to let you know now, I don't want anyone to feel judged or feel bad for their parenting styles. I just want to help and inform you all of like maybe why it's not the best way to go about it. And so yeah, I just wanted to say that first. So when it comes to intentional parenting, which is, in my own words, really going out of your way to make sure that you are creating a safe place for your child to grow up and be a productive human in society, one that doesn't need a whole bunch of therapy to heal from their childhood. And so yeah, when it comes to that, there's a few things that you have to understand. And it might sound crazy, but I feel like I do need to throw this in there because kids are humans. They have feelings and emotions the same way that adults do. And basically, one of our main jobs as parents is to teach them emotional intelligence. So that's number one. Emotional intelligence, that's something else that I'm going to be doing a separate video on because it's so many parts to it. But if you don't have emotional intelligence yourself, you're unable to teach your child like what emotions or feelings they're experiencing. But essentially, you want to tell them what they are feeling so that in the future they are able to tell you how they're feeling. So for example, your kid is on the playground and a kid comes up and pushes them, and they fall and get hurt. They run over to you, and that's probably a bad example because now you're ready to fight that little kid, but that's not what we're talking about right now. But they run over to you and they are crying, they're upset, they're probably feeling a plethora of emotions. So in that situation, you would like get down on their level, give them a hug or something like that, comfort them, which helps them to calm down and regulate their emotions. Because while they're up here and feeling all the feels, you won't be able to communicate, and they won't like hear you. They're on 10. You'll hug them, or whatever the case may be, and then once they're calm, you can find out what happened. They tell you, this kid pushed me while I was trying to get on the slide, whatever. And so you're like, okay, it sounds like you're probably frustrated or angry that I pushed you and took your spot in line. So later on, if something like that were to happen again, they can come over and tell you, like, mommy, I'm upset because this kid pushed me, while I was playing on the playground. And then from that, they are learning essentially emotional intelligence, and the goal is to have them to be able to self-regulate their emotions, to calm themselves down without having you there to do it for them. So that's super important. Obviously, with things like bullying and stuff, that can really affect a child's mental health. And if they're not able to communicate that with you, or if they don't feel like they have a safe place to talk about those kind of things, that can really affect their mental health, obviously. So there's that. Okay, so the second thing that I want to talk about is creating a safe space for your child when it comes to both physically and emotionally, creating a safe space. So what I mean by that emotionally is kind of like going back to what I said in the first point. You want to have an open communication, an open line of communication for your child to always feel comfortable to tell you how they're feeling without a fear of having their feelings shut down. Let me say this real quick, okay? Because I feel like a lot of us, this generation, grew up with like very old school parenting, and I don't want to discredit or attack our parents' generation whatsoever, because they did their thing, because there are so many entrepreneurs and like people just out here killing the game. So they did some things right for sure. Like, please don't take offense to this, but it really is just each generation does better than the last. It just is what it is. We do the best with what we have. So I want to throw that in there too as another disclaimer, because that's like a touchy topic for sure. But little boys were taught that, don't cry, suck it up, be a man, whatever, blah blah blah. No ma'am, I don't like it. I'm gonna say that now. I think it's crazy. Like, it's still a kid. They still have feelings. They're still, they're not a man. Like, it's a 5-year-old, like very much not a man. So it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel the feels, and feel your emotions. That way you don't end up holding on to them and it growing into anger and resentment later on down the line. So definitely don't tell them to suck it up, because it invalidates their feelings and it makes them feel like what they're feeling is not important or it's not real, and that is not true whatsoever. So yeah, there's that. And another thing I kind of wanted to throw in there as far as like emotional safe places, if they are crying or upset about something, I think we should, take the time to hear them out, because their feelings could genuinely be hurt. Like, kids are super sensitive, and things that might not be a big deal to us can very much like be a kid's whole world. They don't have a job and responsibilities, so we just kind of feel like, what are you upset about? What could you, and that is that goes back to invalidating their feelings and teaching them that what they're feeling is not real. So then when they are feeling like a big way, or when they get older, that it makes them less likely to talk to you about how they're feeling, because you're just going to say, it's just a little high school breakup or middle school, whatever, you'll get over it. And that's just really not helpful to them. So we just want to make sure we're creating a safe place for our kids to be able to open up. If they can't open up at home, that's when they start acting out outside of the home. So there's that as well. And then when it comes to a safe space physically, that just kind of goes back to whooping them for every little thing. I'm not saying like don't whoop your kid if they, I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to tell you when to whoop your kid and when not to whoop your kid. But if they are crying, please don't give them something to cry about. They already have something to cry about. That's why they're crying. So I know that's another one that a lot of us got growing up. So I wanted to throw that in there because sometimes we just kind of take what we heard growing up and we obviously carry that over into our parenting. Like, stop crying, I'm gonna give you something to cry about. Meanwhile, they're already crying. They don't need nothing else to cry about. They need someone to hear them out about why they're crying in the first place. So there's that. Number 3, independence and confidence. Well, my son is 5 years old, so I try to instill like independence in him early, which creates, confidence later on down the line. So basically, I let him do like small things like make his own peanut butter and jelly sandwich with the plastic kid's knife or whatever. And, I have the bread and peanut butter to where he knows where to find it. He'll go in the kitchen, grab a plate, a knife, and he'll, make his own sandwich or whatever. He knows where the jelly is. Blah, blah, blah. So not to replace my need to do things for him. I still do a lot of things for him. I still cook, meals for him, of course, but letting them help and do things like crack the eggs, things like that. First of all, they love that mostly. They love helping and being able to feel like they accomplished something. Like I said, it creates it's healthy for them to learn independence. Also, when it comes to independence, kids, they don't really get to make very many decisions in their life because they just are just not responsible enough or whatever. So when it comes to things like dressing your kids, that's definitely something super easy that you can do. Let them dress themselves and express their creativity and their independence. If you feel like they can't match and they're gonna be out here looking crazy, you can also give them options. Like pick out a pair of jeans and let them pick whatever shirt they want to wear or something like that, or give them 2 options to choose between. You want to wear this one or this one. Things like that. Also let them feel heard and let them know that their opinion matters. Yeah, that's a really good one. Okay, so the next point is going to be creating boundaries. So creating boundaries for your kid can be a little difficult for them at first, but it's super important because otherwise they're gonna be running around here thinking that they run the place. And they kind of do, but not really, like you still wanna let them know that you're the parent, you're in charge. Creating boundaries is not because I said so, because I'm the parent, things like that. When it comes to creating boundaries, it can sound like we don't talk back to adults because we want to be respectful. Instead of don't talk to me like that. I'll knock you out. I mean, it's just like instead of making it aggressive and like, because I said so, just as long as you're telling them why, they're more likely to follow it because it makes more sense to them. And they feel like you're not just trying to ruin their fun, that there's actually a reason why you're telling them that. I couldn't really think of another example, so hopefully that gives you an idea. Or like before you go to the park, you're like, okay, we're gonna go to the park for an hour. I will let you know 10 minutes before it's time to leave so that you can start getting yourself ready to go. That way they're not like having a meltdown when you're like, okay, it's time to go, with no, warning or whatever countdown. Okay, and then another thing that's actually super duper important for mental health is going to be their sleep cycle, because we think that we don't need that much sleep, so they don't need that much sleep, once they're out of the baby stage. But kids still need about like 10 to 12 hours of sleep, depending on their age, for them to be fully productive, fully functional, to not wake up stressed out at 6 in the morning, when it's time to go to work or whatever. Because I feel like a lot of times their bedtime is not early enough. So then when it's time to wake up in the morning, they don't want to wake up, they're groggy, and that causes you to start yelling when you're getting close to time you got to go, because you don't want to be late. So you're like, hurry up, put your shoes on, like, let's go, like, what's good? But it's definitely not helpful to yell at them, to start out their day, because that starts out their day. Now they're having a bad day. Because if I was getting yelled at 6 in the morning or whatever time, then my day is ruined. Like, don't talk to me. Now I got attitude. So if you just have them go to bed a little bit earlier, then they can get up on time in the morning. They're not as cranky. It just allows them to have a smoother day. Okay, another one that is super duper important and maybe a little bit of a touchy subject, still important nonetheless. Reducing exposure to any type of direct or indirect physical, verbal, or sexual abuse or neglect. So if there's any type of domestic violence going on in the home, it can be super detrimental to their mental health. So that's also why it's important to create like a safe space for them to be able to communicate that with you, if it's something that you're not already aware of. And then another thing that you want to reduce the exposure to is family members that may be struggling with addiction or mental health, which is something I'm probably going to create a video on at some point, because that's something I have a lot to say about. So let's say the other caregiver is struggling with addiction, which I know is super common. Basically, I'm not sending my kid over there for everyone, and I completely understand that that's a hard, thing to have to deal with, and you just have to kind of maneuver the situation on a case-by-case basis. So I don't really want to tell you how to deal with your situation. I just want to bring light to it so that you are able to handle it in whichever way that works best for your family and your child, all that good stuff. When they grow up with someone that is struggling with any type of addiction, they see everything. They are very aware of like the different moods that person may be in. And a lot of times the child ends up suffering. And I hope that I made sense. I hope I made it make sense, because obviously someone struggling with an addiction is not acting like a person in their right mind, right? So they're not necessarily concerned with creating a safe space for a child to grow up in. And they may be, feeding the child, putting clothes on the child's back, whatever the case may be. But addiction is a sign of unhealed trauma that they're masking with their addiction. So there are just things that they are lacking that they would not be able to give to a child that they would need when it comes to being taken care of. And the last thing, communication skills. Communication skills are the most important thing that they're gonna need to always make sure that their mental health is in good standing, because you always need to be able to communicate if you're needing help, or whatever the case may be. Is just, so you have to be able to say what you need. I'll give you an example. Teaching them this sentence compound is super helpful. I actually got this from a children's mental health seminar that I attended. So it's basically like, I feel blank because blank. So I feel sad because I want to stay up for 5 more minutes or something like that. Because that allows you to be able to know exactly what they are going through or whatever. It teaches them to be able to understand why they're feeling what they're feeling. So I wanted to hop on here looking crazy, just to kind of end the video out, because I don't know where is the end of the video at this point. But basically I was just saying that it helps them to understand why they're feeling that way, and it also helps you to understand why they're, you know, feeling that way as well. So that was that, and if you made it this far, I appreciate you. And let me know if you want me to like go into depth a little bit more about any of the topics. I will definitely do that, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Okay, peace out.